Recent NCAA tournament collapse. Mei Jing misses. Doug Chapman up high for the tip-in. Game tied at 40 at the half. Second half, Caleb Reeves. Pretty move to the hoop between two defenders. Led Arizona with 27. Cats pulling away. Richard Geary tips to Corey Williams, who gets the lay-in. Rick Majerus lost some more here on this one. Cats win 88-81. Utah's 17-game home winning streak ends. Utah freshman Keith Van Horn scored 24 points. Boston College versus Syracuse. Jim O'Brien looking for win number 100 at his alma mater. Eagles soaring early. Billy Curley's there for the tip-in. Jim Boeheim disgusted, down 16. Orangemen storm back. Adrian Autry, no look to Otis Hill. Syracuse gets it down to 2. Check out the team spark plug. Mark Malinsky all over Lawrence Moten, limiting him to 2 points in the second half. Good defense. Then Malinsky on offense. To the hole, tough hoop. Eagles pulling away. Nice ball movement. Curley scores, and BC wins. Bill Curley had 21 points and 12 boards. The Eagles used a 15-0 run to build a 24-8 lead. Coach Jim O'Brien said, "We took control and pulled away, and you do that with experienced guards." Colorado State versus North Carolina. Freshman Jeff McGinnis to freshman Rasheed Wallace for the slam. And then again, it's Wallace. 19 points off the bench. McGinnis then to Eric Montross for the alley-oop. Carolina rolls the final 89-66. Wallace was 9 for 9 from the floor. Montross had 17 points and 12 boards. Colorado State coach Stu Morrill said, "We didn't look like a basketball team in the first half. They did some things we hadn't seen before." Karl. Big Clyde Lovellette, there he is. Unstoppable in the first half. Brooke Thompson blows the bunny. Country with the soft touch. 16 before the break, and there's power in his game. You know what? Play of the game, Brooke Thompson. Only pistol makes this pass. To Scott Pierce in the jam. TCU's Chris Foreman for 3. No, you can't do that. It was a laugher for Eddie Sutton, 89-67. The Cowboys improved to 5-1. They made 11 of their first 13 shots. Big Country was 10 of 14 from the floor. The Horned Frogs were led by Kurt Thomas's career-high 30. UMass over Central Connecticut State. Lou Rowe scores 27. At 6-1, the Minutemen are off to their best start since 1970-71. That's when Julius Winfield Irving II was still making house calls at UMass. To play, IU goes on a 9-0 run to lead by 7 at the half. Evans the steal, blows the layup. Damon Bailey is there, and a good game for Damon Bailey. You know, he was an inside player in high school. That's how he built his legend. He goes inside again, and then Bailey left baseline on the move. Hoosiers up by 17. Bobby Knight relatively calm, and then Damon, the launch from 3. Indiana goes on to win 79-64. Bailey scores 29, 22nd in the second half. He said afterwards, "I'm shooting the ball well now. It's something I worked hard on over the summer." Duke at Michigan. Cassie Russell Day, the great Wolverine, had his number 33 retired. Duke came out strong against Michigan. Chris Collins for 3. Duke up by 10 early. Here comes Michigan. Steal by Jackson down to Jalen Rose for the slam. Michigan an 8-0 run in 1:25. They're within 7. 3 minutes left to play. Still Duke up 7. A key play. The steal on Cherokee Park by Ray Jackson. Huge block by Grant Hill on Jawan Howard. Coach K loves it. Duke wins it by 10. The last time Michigan lost by double digits, last year versus Duke. Michigan only shot 38%. Steve Fisher said, "You have to make your open shots. I told our kids they should be mad, and they are mad." Oklahoma State, LSU, Dale Brown got some attention this week with his mouth. How about with his team on Saturday? LSU freshman Ronnie Henderson, the steal and jam. Tigers up 5 at the half. 1:40 to go. Tigers up 2. Clarence Caesar, the spinning layup. Tigers up 4. 30 seconds left. Cowboys down 1. But Big Country. Bryant Reeves, the double dribble, turns it over. LSU holds on. The final is 71-68. Jamie Brandon led the Tigers with 21. Reeves scored 16. Randy Rutherford led OSU with 21. The two teams combined for 43 turnovers. Delaware State at number 1 Arkansas. Alex Dillard was the man in Arkansas. He was scorching from 3-point range. Then it's from NBA range, and then from ABA range. Louis Dampier splash. Then from the corner, he had 7 3-pointers in the first half. His teammates couldn't believe the show. Second half, Moore Dillard hits his 10th 3-pointer to set an Arkansas school record. And with under a minute left, his 12th 3-pointer to set an SEC record. Chris Jackson had the old mark with 10. Arkansas wins 123-66. Dillard 12 for 22 from 3-point range. Finished with 39 points. The NCAA record for most threes in a game is 14, set by Dave Jamerson of Ohio in 1989.
Lapis, Jonathan Hayes, the steal, the breakaway. No easy baskets, blocked away by Eddie Jones, but the follow-up by Alvin Williams. Last minute of the game. This is Kerry Kittles from 3-point land. He's got it. Temple only up by a point at this point. 31 seconds left. 50-49. Derek Batty, the double team. The huge hoop for Temple. They go on, but it was a difficult win. 54-49. They hit on just 8 of 22 first-half shots, maybe because of Nova going just 7 for 26. That's why they struggled as well. Out west, Long Beach State, number 9, like the Beatles, UCLA. Charles O'Bannon, UCLA's freshman standout. He had the big night. Early in the first, the drive for the jam, still in the first, 19-12 UCLA. Cameron Dollar to Charles O'Bannon, good for 2. Charles had 9 points at the half. UCLA up 33-15. Second half, Sean Tarver to Ed O'Bannon, the feed to brother Charles for the jam. He had 15. UCLA goes on for the easy win. Not only are they unbeaten, nobody's even given them a close game to this point. Tough to be upset in a place named Freedom Hall. That's where they played it. Louisville, all over eastern Kentucky. You see Rozier, in addition to 32 points, 13 boards, 5 blocks, and an NCAA record. Craig. The rest of your winners and losers inside the lines.
Randy Ayers off to a 3-0 start. Jamie Skelton and Nate Wilborn, who had 14. Ohio State had a 28-27 lead at the break. But then came the rewrite. Damon Key, some lens rinse, and then contacts the net. The basket and the foul. He goes baseline with a jumper. Key had 22 second half points. The hook here, 29 total for the game, 14 rebounds. As Marquette wins, Jim McIlvain, 13 points, 6 blocks. The Buckeyes playing without Antonio Watson, Gerald Eaker, and Otis Winston, who were suspended for breaking team rules. Detroit Mercy taking on the Spartans in East Lansing. Sean Respert looking a little magic-like and hits. The Titans answer with Tony Tolbert. Michigan State lead cut down to 7, but then Respert again. That's a 3-ball. 29 points. Multiple boards. Mercy's first-year coach, Perry Watson, came over from Michigan, where he was an assistant. Right now, trying to improve the Titans' 2-5 record as they lose to Michigan State.
Otis Spunkmeyer Classic. Jason Kidd for 3. He had 12 points. Jason Kidd for 3. He still had only 12 points. Good. Cal 5 up 9 from 3-point range in the first half. Anwar McQueen loses the ball. Lamont Murray says thank you very much. One of 5 Bears in double figures. And then it's Michael Stewart along the baseline, a jumper that's as soft as church music. Cal goes on an 11-1 spurt, goes on to win it by the final of 83-70. Tulane's 2 losses have come against top 25 teams. In case you're wondering, and I know you are, Otis Spunkmeyer is a brand of cookie. In the consolation of the Spunkmeyer Classic, Princeton rallied to beat Maryland of Baltimore County. To Cedar Falls for Drake in Northern Iowa. Randy Blocker, he's a good one. Gets the rebound, gets the hoop. Drake's Rudy Washington drives to the hoop. He had 10, and then Blocker again. He had 23. Northern Iowa wins it by the final. 71-54. Blocker, he was the preseason pick as the player of the year in the conference. 23 points, 10 boards. Northern Iowa shot 77% in the second half while holding Drake to just 29% from the floor. Chris.
And as you see the highlights, you can see the stock of the opponents over the years, not exactly blue chip. Redmond leading by 13 at the break. Chanel Scott the steal, and then to James Scott, to Charles Minlin, who was the tourney MVP. St. John's leading Hofstra by 15. Moments later, Derek Brown, the loose ball to Maurice Brown, and Chanel Scott ends up with it, the 38th straight game win in the Lapchick tournament as the Redmond roll over more opponents like the Flying Dutchman. Scott finishing with 14. St. John's record is now 4-2. All right, on to Oregon and Idaho. The Ducks and the Vandals. Orlando Lightfoot gets the hoop for Idaho, but they were trailing by 4 at halftime. Kenya Williams gets it to Aaron Johnson. Johnson in double figures with 10, but Orlando Lightfoot have the hot hand, scoring 37, and Idaho rallies to win it 78-66. So the Vandals now 4-2. Mark Leslie had 18.
Nervous though, as Badgers never trailed in this one. Tracy Webster the steal, and he drives all the way in for the lay-in. He had 10. Griffith, not necessarily doing it big on offense, but big on D with a rejection. Finley to Webster for the lay-in. Finley did score 18, and the Badgers cruised 94-68. Eastern Michigan took 25 three-point shots. They hit 5 of them. This was the first time this season the Eagles were held under 100 points. The Orangemen trying to bounce back from the BC beating they took last Thursday. Adrian Autry, alley-oop. Yes, it works to John Wallace. Autry 6 assists, SU up 10. Then Autry shoots this one. Dials long distance, and it goes through. Lawrence Moten, 13 of 21. He led all scorers, a 104-75 final. Moten said, Boston College is behind us. You just don't want to make losing a habit. The Leopards were spotty from the free throw line, hitting on 20. Pulling early. The Privateers of New Orleans keep it close. Michael McDonald lays it up and in. They were down 2 at the break. And Zona works the give and go. Flanagan, Damon Studemeyer back to Flanagan, who lays it up and in. That's Kevin. Wildcats win it 80-62. Their 1,000th victory. The school began playing hoop in 1913. Studemeyer was held to 6. New Orleans coach Tim Floyd accomplished half the game plan, but said Khalid Reeves, who had 26, was too much. Ohio State's the winner. Derek Anderson at 18. No gauchos in double figures. The closest was Kyle Milling. He had 9. He is the cousin of Jack Sikma. Seton Hall, the winner. P.J. Carlissimo said he thought this was the Hall's best all-around game of the season, and Karnishevis hit 6 threes. BYU's the winner. Russell Larson, 26. The Cougars now 4-2. Steve Nash, 29. He had 4 of 8 from 3. Santa Clara led wire to wire. Michigan State's the winner. This past week, he had the Huskies as one of the top 3 teams in the nation, although he didn't want them to prove it against his own club. When he was playing, there was no Gamble Pavilion. There was also no Donyell Marshall, the steal and the slam. Calhoun says that's good D, that's good O. They're up 51-37 at the break. B.J. Tyler returning from a stay in the John Lucas Center, impressive with 16 points. But Donyell Marshall on the other end of the Brian Fair block is out in front. Little reverse, he had 23, and UConn, well, they proved him right. They proved the old coach correct. 96-86. Marshall said, we have too many ways to score right now, and that's really good for us. Shandon Anderson, pretty move around the back and the finger roll. He had 13 points. Then it's Travis Best looking around, and he likes what he sees as he sinks the 3. He had 24. The Dogs then come down and miss, but watch Terrell Bell ring in with a dunk. Back the other way we go. Travis Best penetrates. James Forrest. He had 21, and Tech holds on, winning 72-69. Best hit 2 free throws with 2.8 to go. So Durham has to wait until next time. The Dogs' next game is not an easy one.
Dontonio Wingfield, who's averaging 20 points per game, but he did not have any points in the first half of this game. And it was party time for both teams from the arc. Temple's Aaron McKee drains it. Lizelle Durden for Cincy splash. Rick Brunson, the lefty, for 3. Count it. And then it's Durden again. All nylon. Both squads warm from the arc. Brunson again. He had 5 threes in the first half. Durden one more time. He had 6 threes in the first half. Temple led by 12 at the half. Second half, Eddie Jones takes over with 2 hands. Cincy coach Bob Huggins can only gape. Jones on the solo. The reverse, a career-high 30 for Jones. And the Owls climbing up the polls beat another ranked team, 88-72 the final Eddie Jones scored 20 of his game-high 30 in the second half. Wingfield finished with 13 points and 15 boards. Lizelle Durden returned to the Bearcats. Jamie Brannon, the drive and layup, he scored 21 points for LSU. Then it's Keithon Hawkins for McNeese State, the slam and the emotion. Pretty pass, Ronnie Henderson to Sean Gibson for the easy two. And then it's Henderson, a three. McNeese State, no problem for LSU. The Tigers win at 93-72. Henderson scores 20 points with 4 assists.
Ninth in the country, and Eddie O'Bannon got the lefty hook shot. He had 18. UCLA up 43-27 at the break, and Dale Brown getting a little nervous. Tyrus Edney behind the back once, behind the back twice. Sean Tarver, who scored 18, finishes it off. UCLA finishes off LSU 100-80. We told you Eddie had 18. His brother Charles had 12. LSU was miserable from three-point land. They took 33 threes. They hit 9. Vandy and the Yellow Jackets. From Barry to Martise Moore. Oh, James Forrest with a dunk of the day. Tech down 3 at the half, Forrest 16 at the break, and then the Billy McCaffrey show. With a man in his face, he scored 2 in the first half, 22 in the second, Vandy by 5. Vincent hit 3 of 7 from deep, nails this one. We're tied at 72 and head to overtime, where Tech outscores Vandy 14-5. Forrest lays it up and in. He had 25, and Tech wins this one. Kremens had his post-game speech all planned out. He said, we got outsmarted, we came unglued, we became very erratic. But they won, so we can save it for another day. Travis Best scored 22, but hit only 1 of 9 from three-point land. The Buckeyes and the Tar Heels from Chapel Hill. Lawrence Funderburk and Ohio State down 14 in the first half, but they rallied. Watch the pass to Nate Wilborn for the big-time dunk. Ohio State tied it at 58, and with 7 minutes to go, we call on DW. Donna Williams takes over. He hit 2 of 6 from 3, and he hit everything inside in the paint. They spread out the floor for him, and with 3 guys on him, he nails it. Williams scores 12 straight for Carolina, gave the Heels a 73-66 lead with a minute and a half to go, and they never, ever looked back. 81-68 the final. Williams plays big when necessary, scored 16 of his 26 in the final 7, and as I said, the game had been tied when he took over. Schools, Southern will not forget Glenn Robinson. Up 14-6, they never trailed after that. Robinson played only 24 minutes. All the spin move. 28 points for GR. The other Boilermakers chipping in this one, Justin Jennings, who finishes. Purdue led 53-27 at the half, and then it's Matt Woodell to Jennings with a oop, and the Boilermakers romp 97. I said the Boilermakers romp 97-59. Robinson has now scored in double figures in 30 straight games. The only other Boilermaker in double figures, Matt Woodell with 12. And
Stoudemire not about to let that happen. A three-pointer, you betcha. 1 of 7 Wildcat threes in the first half, second half. Willie Blair, alley-oop from Reeves. It's good. Then the alley-oop from Dylan Rigdon. Arizona in a blowout, 89-63. Damon Stoudemire, 15 points. Wildcats, 9 three-pointers in the game. Best start since 1990 as they improved to 7-0. Chicago State versus Illinois. Lou Henson watched his team dominate. First half, all Illini. Gene Cross sets up Deion Thomas. 65-34 at the half. It continued in the second half. Richard Keene with the steal, and Kawan Garris lays it in. Garris with 23 points in the game. More of the same. Brett Ravech to Keene. Robert Bennett with the alley-oop jam. The final 121-52. 9 Illini players were in double figures. They improved to 5-1. The 69-point win is the biggest margin of victory in school history for Illinois. Dunk of the day off Alan Henderson's miss. Steve Hart with the hops and the slam, and a big day for Damon Bailey. 32 points, 11 for 18 from the floor. Here's why. Look at the Alan Henderson pick. Cuts inside for the easy bucket, and then it's Bailey again. Todd Leary, the pass. Bailey inside for the roll. Knights Hoosiers win 91-80. Louisville facing Wyoming. Alvin Sims and the Cards weren't gasping for air very long in Wyoming. First half, off the turnover, Jason Osborne, the outlet to Juwan Wheat with the hammer dunk. Second half, Clifford Rozier goes to work on Higgins. The drop step, the spin for 2 of his 18 points. Louisville wins 72-55. Kansas versus Georgia. The Kansas D was strong. B.J. Williams blocks Ty Williams. Williams is saved to Steve Woodbury to Jacques Vaughn. Kansas forced 26 turnovers and won 89-79. Jackson State versus #1 Arkansas. The Razorbacks on the run. Corliss Williamson to Corey Beck with the pivot. The pump fake, the hoop and the foul. Second half, it's Beck again. And he elevates and scores 23 points coming into the game. He averaged less than 8. Arkansas wins 96-80.
Against the Catamounts of Western Carolina. Vashawn Leonard with a steal to David Grimm, who gets 2. Leonard did score 15 points in the game. Randy Carter passing to Grimm this time, who had 11. And then more nice passing by Clem Haskins' team as Ariel McDonald with the dish to Carter. And the Golden Gophers have 5 players in double figures. McDonald 8 assists, pushing him over 400 for his career. That's the school's all-time mark. The Golden Gophers now 6-2. Clemson taking on the Wildcats of Davidson. And Cliff Ellis not happy because Clemson was trailing by 13 at the half. Mark McGuire with the pump fake and looked like he was in slow motion. But the two-handed stuff, and then Jason Zimmerman, the three-pointer, he hit 5 in the game. And Davidson with a bit of a shocker. Sophomore Brandon Williams scoring 28. Zimmerman finishing with 21 points. The Wildcats with a 5-1 record, their best start in 25 years.